Oh, yeah. Happy Comic Book Day, and thank you to Bad Mary for that too sweet playing. Welcome, all you four Cully Funny Book aficionados, to U.S. Comics Cast, Chapter 2, Episode 4. Two topics, 60 minutes for the people. I'm John Rivera, the CEO and co founder of U.S. Comics.
And I'm Charlie Rivera, the COO of US Comics, aka Little Big Dong, because I like to confuse everybody. Which direction do you go? I don't know. AKA the undisputed knockout king of terrible wrestling games the world over. That's right, I only got two today.
There was only two, but you have taken up your entire segment time. That was indeed the longest self-introduction. But you know what? On Comic Book Day, all bets are off. Charlie, what goes on, brother?
You know, it's just keeping on. Still working on the Long Island studio. Got a little bit more up, we're a little more tchotchke heavy.
A little bit more Toys R Us-ish.
That was kind of what I was going for. I walk into the office now and I'm like, I should buy that Lego Ecto 1. Oh shit, it's mine.
So I was like, sold. What is it? Still sold. I'll take two. That's awesome. That's awesome.
How about you, man?
Well, I have to tell you, just to throw it back, you are in the point of your renovation, redecoration process, your nerdy nesting, as it were. You have to be now at the point where you're going to come across something, be like, oh, that shit's cool. Like, you've completely forgotten that not just that you owned it, but that it was a thing, that like somebody paid good money to have it assembled and molded and painted in China and then shipped across the sea to Charlie's waiting hands here in America.
It's been a bunch of stuff.
I bet.
Like the one thing that I couldn't believe I forgot. There was this amazing line of Ghostbuster action figures, and they did like a slimed Peter variant. And he's like, oh, exasperated and covered in goo.
That's super slimy.
I like completely forgot it existed. And when I found it, I had that moment of like, where's a Slimer? I got to reenact one of the scenes.
That is just depressing. But hey, if you're happy, I'm happy. And you know what? Just to kind of kick us off in a little bit behind the scenes, as it were, for the listeners and viewers. Charlie and I, obviously, we work our jobs that drive us crazy, and this is a very much an escape. So thank you. But also, as well as, we are each other's lifelines very often. So there's a constant barrage, like just an open trade agreement between Johnville and Charlietown of news. Charlie's like, hey, what about this? And I counter back like, hey, how about that? And he's like, oh, over the top, Slammer Jamma. Oh, by the way, also as well as, did you see the Zilla v Kong full trailer? Oh, baby. Charlie took me from a 2 to a 10 instantaneously with that Godzilla versus King Kong trailer. Was I geeked up for that, boy? I cannot wait.
The worst part is, for some reason, like, Godzilla versus King Kong is borderline like such a preposterous, silly idea.
Well,
I had completely forgotten that 11 from Stranger Things is going to like throw a saddle on Godzilla in 3 weeks.
So did they, because she's in approximately 0.002 nanoseconds of the full trailer.
Oh, but
they were like, oh, you want a trailer? Here's like longer than a mid-80s Tyson championship fight. Like, you saw a lot of throwdowns. I was super duper excited.
I have a couple pictures I pulled up just because I couldn't believe that I like had missed everything. Right now I'm showing off the poster. It's like artistic but badass. This feels like when Stallone releases Rocky 12. This looks like the sort of poster you would do. And for those of you watching on Facebook,
roll back.
The Godzilla versus King Kong is a classic, but it's also like the goofiest thing ever. Like the same way.
Talking about
It's the goofiest thing ever. What do you like?
Goofy how? Because two Japanese guys in monkey and lizard rubber suits fighting like that. That probably wasn't even a movie concept. They were probably both on. They were on the same studio, not in the same movie. One bump into each other at like at the table getting coffee or sushi or whatever, and they were like, "Oh, what the fuck, man!" And they literally started fighting, and they started rampaging on one side and the other. And the director was like, "Roll camera, man. We got something else."
We all know I love me, my guys in rubber suits. My affection for Power Rangers.
Ray?
My affection for Power Rangers was satiated by Godzilla movies when we were younger. It was one of the many things that you were like.
They copied Power Rangers. Look at this. Oh.
But the fact that we went from
brother divorce.
If you're watching on Facebook right now, facebook.com/US Comics HQ, we went from what's on the screen now, guys in rubber suits, to like intense, crazy, beautiful, Technicolor
they're fighting
CG action.
They're fighting in the world's largest discotheque. It's unbelievable. There's like mirrored balls swinging
and not
for
just
one reason or
Kong.
another. How dare you, sir?
He literally busted out Mjolnir's replacement from Avengers.
Unbelievable.
That trailer's crazy.
Oof, Magoof. If you're gonna make that reference, know the name. I clearly don't, so I can't really super correct you.
I don't want Stormbreaker.
Maybe it's Stormbringer or Stormbreaker.
Something goofy
Somebody.
like that. However, before you say whatever you want to say about, because I downloaded these damn pictures, the one picture I'm showing right now, I'm pretty sure Mechagodzilla's in it. And if Mechagodzilla shows up, bitch, it's Morphin Time. The sequel to this should be Godzilla and Kong v Power Rangers.
Here is, God forbid, because you're talking about a JV like stepping onto the same field as a varsity, as two varsity players. Very easily. But no, what was I gonna say? Oh, well, you first threw out to me, you're like, oh, look at this. Maybe that's Mechagodzilla. And it was like the equivalent of a soda cap being found on like an excavation site. I'm like, no, it's just drop. Maybe that's this, maybe that's that. Charlie, I immediately launched into the same level of WandaVision research where I'm like, maybe that is Mechagodzilla, to the point where now I feel pretty confident. Again, potential spoilers. I think Mechagodzilla might be the big bad.
Right?
I really do. I think that they're like either the existence is agitating legitimate Zilla, or they're fucking with Zilla just so that they can, throw Mechagodzilla at him and shit gets out of control. And 11's like, even I can't stop this mother sucker. And then they have to go ahead and bring in the big guns with my boy Kong. I do also believe, credit where credit's due. So Ellis, who does all of our color work, outstanding job. I got to give him credit. He put this out there first. Now, I did see it subsequently other places. So I'm not sure. Maybe he just saw it before I did, but I'll give him credit. He put up
reluctantly
a picture. No, not reluctantly at all. He put up a picture of the new Kong versus Zilla, and he was like, if both of their moms are named Martha, I'm out. Like, I'm like,
what about
Facebook
Mothra?
Is done for
what
the
if
day.
It's just like save Mothra? Shit, Mothra owes me $20.
Well, funny enough, Mothra is Japanese for Martha, so it could very well be a 1-for-1. But also, as well as it instantaneously started me thinking. Obviously, this is a remake of sorts. The original was in the 50s, maybe the late 50s, something like that, early 60s. But also, as well as the versus trend is certainly nothing new to us as a viewing audience.
No,
I know
cry all the time about Batman v Superman.
Well, yeah, that's that is tear inducing to say the least. But for me, like the first like, oh, wouldn't it be cool type conversations at the bus stop that somebody actually threw millions of dollars at and put it on the big screen, for me was Jason versus Freddy.
Hell yes.
I'm like, like you talk about it and you hypothesize and you work out like these details, but you never think it's really gonna happen.
It seems that was one of those flicks that you were like, they're not willing to do that much for us.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. I mean, it's not the only
it's
one. I mean,
too
there's so
nail
many
on
out
that.
there.
But exactly right. Like for me, after, and it's just crazy where you can go with these verse movies. It really is. You can take either properties and put them against, like Alien versus Predator. Both of those flicks have their moments. Those are popcorn films.
The
But
first one was super enjoyable.
oh my god, and you know what I find really weird though is with like those properties, they're like Godzilla versus Kong may put us back in a world where we can, God forbid, have just fun movies. That movie looks ridiculous in the best way. So like these Predator films, they keep insisting on making. You made 1.5 good films and like 13, like we're so serious. We're making points. Shut up. You know what I want? Next verse film coming right up, baby. I want Predator v WWE. I'm gonna co-opt an idea you sold me once about aliens thinking the WWE superstars were like real, like
Sure.
greatest warriors.
They're
I'm
like
gonna make
the super fighters of Earth. All happen to be located on the same truck traveling. They're on tour.
Exactly. What was that movie with like the knockoff Star Trek guys? It eludes me right now.
Oh my god.
Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy
Thank
Quest.
you. Thank you.
So imagine Galaxy. I'm actually going to get rid of WWE because they hurt my feelings and just made $1 billion.
Don't say it. Don't.
AEW
Oh my
versus
god.
Predator. Same
Charlie,
concept.
the speed of sound would not even get the audio track for that to Aliens anytime. I mean, and we're on the cusp of a huge versus breakout, and you're throwing your first wish away. Look,
dare you?
It's very easy. I'm actually gonna go ahead, since I'm a loving brother and not a crazy person like you. I'll throw one out for you because I know that you would thoroughly enjoy it. How about we get a little bit of John Wick, the current undisputed champion of beating the hell out of 117 people on screen? John Wick versus Jason Bourne.
Dude,
make beautiful. It happen, Captain.
I see you're using a toaster and a book versus all sorts of bullet foo. I see you, and I'm going to throw out one for both of us that we could argue for the entire production process over. What about a little G-Force v Mighty Morphin Power Rangers?
Oh, come on,
let's settle it. Lions versus goddamn Mighty Morphin
Do yourself a favor and don't even put that out there lest someone thinks you're serious and goes about making that utter beatdown that you would have to sit down. That you know what's funny is because you're saying how dare you, because you know that it would not be even a contest that the Rangers would be landing. You can give wave after wave after wave of the Rangers and they're gonna get laid out by my gotcha man. But you know what though? I will retort. I'll backhand, send it back over the net, and I'll keep it in the fam because I'll give them at least a puncher's chance. If you just go ahead and give me Megazord, his or her itself, put that mother sucker up against Voltron.
100%.
Now I'm only saying that in the same sense that they said that they were like, "Hey, the champ needs a warm-up fight." So go ahead. We'll throw a little punchy in there. Just to sit. You know what? Megazord can send it to boom. Just take shots up until till the sword comes out. Then it's over, son.
All I want is them to do like a high budget cinematic, that fun little slide they would all ride down to get to their lions. Never ever has music match less the activity. They are in a goddamn playground to the great, literally would be the equivalent of Rocky Balboa just going down a regular slide. Dun 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 dun.
Now coming to the ring, Rocky, and he's skipping. nah, 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 nah.
What
Sounds like the
about
dog in Little Nicky sleeping.
another? That's amazing.
Thank you.
Another really great one. I'm gonna send your way. See what you think about it. People are loving the 80s. They're loving these reboots. Godzilla, Kong. What's old is new again because one, we're not that imaginative, and two,
That's true.
look at my office. Clearly, I'll buy what you're selling. Nostalgia. What about Afterlife? Ghostbusters Afterlife. What do we do? We have new Ghostbusters. They're kids. What can
How did I know that Ghostbusters would make an
Ghostbusters
appearance?
v Beetlejuice?
Oh,
There,
that's
there's a very entertaining fan film that like approaches the subject, but it
okay.
was made for like $38, and I didn't write it,
And
nor
Charles
did
like,
Max
here's
Landis.
$40.
Yeah,
Bomb.
exactly. Could you? How much fun could that movie be? Again, you could go what seems like, and I reserve the right to be totally wrong. Godzilla versus Kong could be the most serious bullsugar that's ever come my way. But I'm hoping it's like, I hope they hit the song like "Go Go Go Godzilla!" Yeah. I hope there's people taking bets on the street. I
Yeah,
want.
sure.
I want Beetlejuice to go toe to toe, just like they used to in Universal Studios.
He could do it,
There was
bro.
a show that made my heart sing. He like zapped him. They had to dance. Come on, let's do it.
Charlie is down for any property versus any other property
I really
as
am.
long as it's a musical. That's really his only demand. He's like, look, first of all, we need an 11 o'clock number right at the end to just get everybody's juices going. All right, so you know what? You had your fun. And granted, I knew that you were gonna delve into your love bank. I really should have known Ghostbusters would show up on your list. But as you know, I'm a huge Stephen King.
Oh,
I
baby.
worship at the altar of the
Oh,
king.
no, you're not.
I am. And you know what though? There's no way you're gonna see it coming because this is as imaginative yet accurate as it can be. So go ahead for my versus movie. I want the star of the 1,000-page masterpiece. Give me Pennywise the Clown. See him center stage versus Ding Ding Ronald McDonald.
What?
Think about it, bro. Think about it. Pennywise
one kills you with scares. The other one kills you with cholesterol.
Pennywise body count in 1,000 pages, like, kind of. No, this one's gonna have some bad memories for a long time. Like his body count, I don't even know that it. At least those stories that you got, I don't think it broke double digits. But Ronald McDonald has killed more children, more adults, whether you're talking about hypertension, whether you're talking about cholesterol, never mind the cows. Cows tell their baby calves at night stories about Ronald McDonald. If you don't go to bed, Ronald McDonald's going to come and get you. Ronald McDonald is without a doubt the scariest son of a bitch in this clown that there is. Give me Ronald McDonald, and as a surprise good guy role, Pennywise. Oh,
I love it. You know, also, there's only one child orgy in it, and I feel like the ball pit at McDonald's has been.
yeah.
We just lost every sponsor potentially.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Let's move.
Let's put
Let's
that
move
sucker
the
to
show
bed.
right along. John, I had a question for you before you start my time. What is good? What's new? What's the hot freshness this side of US comics? What's going on this week?
Well, it's funny that you mention it, Charlie, because I'm literally putting the final touches on yet another new character. Their debut art. That's going to be. I'm glad that I mentioned Ellis because maybe he'll be like, huh, what happened? Because Ellis will be going right to work putting color to this son of a bitch. I have to tell you that this is not only. I mean, when you're talking about artwork, a lot of times they'll lie and say like, "Oh, I can't pick a favorite kid. I love them all," but secretly, mom's like, "John, I really like John the best."
What the?
So that being said, I love them all, but this one might be my favorite, if not necessarily my favorite character, my favorite piece of artwork that I spit out.
That's
So that
amazing.
one's coming. We're gonna get the teaser forthwith. So keep your peepers peeled. It's
I love
coming.
it. You know what? If anyone who's listening to this or watching this, here's your mission. I want you to go over to our Instagram, US Comics HQ, right there on Instagram. You can even find it on Facebook or Twitter, but go to Instagram. I want you to pick out your favorite character, and I want you to let us know why. There might be a prize in it for you. There may not. This is the risk I need you to take. But
You got to
with
be
all
careful because it looks like you're at a carnival. You're like, hey, you get anything from row A, nothing from row B.
For the record, these are all top line prizes at a fair, dude. With that being said, my friend, start my time.
Boop.
All right, so Disney, WandaVision, finally getting to a place that, again, I stand by the fact I think they should have launched all 3 episodes. Episode 3 finally kind of gives us some meat.
You wanted all 3, huh?
Well, the first 2 episodes, again, this isn't my topic, but it bears mentioning. The first 2 episodes rely very heavily on what we think might happen or what we hope might happen. Episode 3 is the first one that's like, here's at least the start of what's happening.
Sure.
But
So the
something
dullards have something to grasp onto.
exactly. And also the storytellers can actually tell us something as opposed to me doing their damn work
Oh.
for them. But Disney is in a very interesting evolution. Let's be honest.
The mouse?
Mandalorian, the House of Mouse has been forever changed by the Mandalorian. They thought their big change was going to be from Star Wars itself, and it was an offshoot of Star Wars. It wasn't the films. It wound up being this side project that they were doing. Got bigger than they could have ever
The
expected.
side piece, as it were. They're like, oh, I fell in love with my side piece. Oh, no.
Oh no.
If
Sorry,
this were
Ray.
Goodfellas, there'd be a real big problem. Look, you got to go home. Look, you know what this is, but you got to go home. What are we,
But-
animale? Sorry.
These deep cuts only pop me during the edit. So what's really interesting is Disney's now in this place where it's constantly going to be not expected to, but it's going to winners get this benefit of the doubt. They have an opportunity. You skinny son bitch.
We do. It's true. We do.
So Disney's in this very interesting chance where now if they make a move, as opposed to, let's say, taking the safe route,
Right.
which is like Iron Man 2. Not that was Disney at the time. You have an opportunity now to take big swings. And if it misses, people are going to forgive you. WandaVision winds up being disappointed. People aren't going to be like, nah, I'm not going to check out Captain America and the Winter or Winter Soldier and Falcon.
Right.
They're not going to skip the next one. They have earned credit, and Disney got to borrow that credit. So now finally coming from a total side universe and being pulled into the Marvel universe is potentially the biggest change out of their next run, right? The films right now, we're at the end of a chapter. We're about to start a new chapter.
Right.
But
New
it's
phase.
not the new phase, exactly right. Phase 4, I think it is. But it's not the main phase that I think could have the biggest impact. It's that side dish. It's the dessert. And that dessert, my friend, is Deadpool 3 maintaining its R rating. Now, there is no one that is going to look at Deadpool now, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm being overly hyperbolic, but I feel like Disney now is going to be tied to this foul-mouthed, bad skin having anti-hero.
Edward James Olmos?
Nice. Sorry, Ed. That Deadpool, take your victory lap, John. Deadpool could be that next big change. This character is nothing like any of the Disney Marvel Universe proper Disney film characters. This film is not gonna feel like a regular Disney movie. So them going rated R, and the fact is, this isn't Disney's first rated R film. They have a bunch that are kind of hidden under different banners.
Right. Well, that was their trick. They were like, okay, we'll make this movie, and it can be, fall under the rated R, classifications. but you're not going to get that Disney beep, boo, boo. You're not going to get the castle and the star, and there's not going to be the ride at the park, and you're not going to get the full Disney treatment.
Once Disney is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he might show up in a ride. He might get a character actor who, of course, won't be in Disney parks swearing and like trying to look up skirts, but that is who the character is. There will be no way to disassociate the obvious, which is kids see rated R films. You can say like, well, they're not supposed to. Shut up. Any cool kid, listen to me, kids. If you're cool, you are seeing rated R films.
But rated R ones are better.
They're just better because no one thinks of Apocalypto necessarily as a Disney flick, or Kingsman, or Starship Troopers, or G.I. Jane, Con Air, Stuber from last year. People don't think the House of Mouse. Sure. Now it is undeniable. So my question to you, John, one, were you excited when you heard that not only is Deadpool a coming, but also seemingly unfiltered? There was the fear that Once Upon a Deadpool was them testing the waters for a PG-13 Deadpool, but nope. Rated R or nothing, and we're getting something. So, initial thought when you heard that news: Deadpool 3 coming down, Marvel Universe, rated R, Ryan Reynolds, let's fucking do it.
Well, that's the thing too, because anytime that a property changes hands, changes production teams, changes directors, a lot of times we'll get noticed that, oh, this project lost its director, and your excitement level changes. It's usually not in the sense of like, oh, it needs to be this rating or I'm out. The main thing for me was just that, because I enjoyed both Deadpools, I enjoyed them thoroughly for one reason or another. The main thing for me was that they were not going to feel different, right? So now that you say, well, the R rating is what set it off. Yeah, okay, well that makes sense then. So yes, there are multiple things regarding the Deadpool franchise that I don't want to change, even though it's changed hands. I'm happy about it. I'm glad. I hope they keep it as much in the feel of Deadpool as humanly possible. My thought, honestly, was with Deadpool now having access to the entire pantheon of, it's a good word, of Marvel characters, don't get buried, right? Don't get kind of pushed to the back of the class. But he's an A-list star in Ryan Reynolds, and he's made as much money as anybody else, as multiple anybody else's. So I don't think that'll happen, though it's always a fear,
Absolutely. And let me just clarify. I could genuinely give a crap about the literal -R. It's the promise of, hey, we're writing a Deadpool script. We're writing a film, like you said. You said it very eloquently. I don't need to tell you that because you literally complimented yourself mid-sentence in real time.
That's the best way to do it.
If you
compliment yourself mid-sentence, by the end of the sentence, sometimes people forget. They're like, did he say that out loud or did I think it? But either way, you're taking it home with you.
But it's this promise of Negasonic Teenage Warhead will probably be in it, and she'll feel like her. Wade will get to be Wade. And I won't lie, that second flick, I totally love it. I don't think I love it as much as the first Deadpool, but that's like a pretentious douche thing to think, let alone verbalize on a podcast.
Right. We're not talking about Godfather here, like.
Yeah, like I wouldn't care. Someone was talking about like, great, we'll get to see the gore. I don't think of either of those films as gory films, but they're like, is gory film. I mean, the second film, a child put a pen up his anus, and it kind of saved the day. There is something to that world.
Never ask that kid for his autograph. Don't do it.
What if he just reached in? He like lost a decent amount of weight. Kid looks good. Good for him. But what else I really love about it is the cool thing that Deadpool 1 and 2 did that no one else, frankly, had the cojones to do, was they let the ridiculous aspects of a comic book move over without justification and without it being a joke. Deadpool's mask in those films moves like masks move
It's
in
a
comic books.
Deadpool's mask is a character in and
And
of
it
itself.
makes it makes a huge difference because like Spider-Man, they had to justify the eyes with like
Right.
these mechanical ones. And in that case,
and it makes perfect sense.
it makes sense. It's cool as hell.
Yeah.
It's
It
toyetic
looks
AF.
good. Yeah.
With that being said, no one can tell me that you being able to, when necessary, see Wade's lips or his eyebrows move or his eyes get huge and his eyes get it looks awesome. So if you're telling me that this opens the door for masked heroes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe not being afraid to just be like, nah, shut up. The fact that the spandex doesn't tear at the crotch, despite the 45 flips, we don't need to say they're reinforced nonsense.
Always the crotch with this kid.
Well, you know, the kid likes what he likes. But think of like if they wind up doing, if they do in fact bring Daredevil into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I don't expect them to do it.
Charlie will get the vapors, boy.
I literally will have to just stay till the next showing because I'll just be passed out in my own fluids.
We're gonna have to bring Charlie a backup pair of pants just in case all of the rumors are true and Charlie Cox pouts his way on the big screen.
But also like imagine, and his costume is great from the Netflix show. But if you marvel up that
red.
I absolutely could be a real red. It's like red wine.
I don't mind them. I don't mind the maroon. Obviously, I would just have the different components. How it's like, and that is the one thing that was very Marvel-esque. Just to take a side step on the combo, the most Marvel-esque thing that the shows did was how they dressed fucking Deadpool, how they dressed Daredevil.
Yeah,
because his costume looked exactly like a Marvel costume would. He would not look out of place if you line him up next to the Avengers.
absolutely.
I would just say that rather than having like, you know, the red maroon hood, but then like a black jaw. No, just make all of them just by sheer nature of them being different materials. Even if they're the same color, they will play. You know, it'll be obvious.
Just lean in, and that's the hidden thing that I think Deadpool's gonna do is if you did redesign Daredevil's cowl, like so it's a full neck, like it's that fake Batman Impossible thing where it's like it stretches and somehow the jawline snaps back to life when it's pulled. If you show me a Daredevil moment where he pulls his hood over his face, or if he's fighting someone and there's a little bit of eyebrow movement to just help sell this. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I want that necessarily from Daredevil.
What you're saying is that you want Affleck back as Daredevil. We know, we understand.
Sorry, it's that jawline. The fact that you can now have this. Man, I hated more than anything. I hate that every Avenger that has a mask or a helmet, it magically can kind of come off and go back on.
Do I nano hate the hell out of that.
And for some reason, I truly believe more than it being like, well, you want to see the actor's face, you can get that exact same result if when they're planning something, again, secret identity be damned, half of their secret identities are out. But if they're just powwowing, you can have I will have no problem with Spider-Man pulling his mask off. No problem with Daredevil, Deadpool. Suddenly you're freed of like, no, it's super high-tech. Bullshit. Let it be magic material, bro. There's a spider boy and there's a blind acrobat, and now you have a barbecued guy who, if you chop off his arm, he just grows one back eventually. God damn it, the Hulk's
baby legs McGee.
Always purple. Oh my God, the baby legs moment in Deadpool 2, worth the price of admission. Do you think, like I seem to think, that Deadpool is actually going to even have that much of an impact? Or do you suspect Disney's going to be like, yeah, he's in our universe. Stay in your corner, Wade?
No. I think that, I mean, Disney's a business, and they didn't get to be the monolith that they are on the Hollywood, skyline by avoiding money. I mean, that's a cash cow. So they're going to continue to milk it, just like they milked the that cow that had like the natural Mickey symbol on its side. dude, what happened to that cow, man? Like
I don't know.
it was there. I almost said he. She was there one day, and the next day, she was burger. It was like very, very sad. But
Unfortunate.
again, they're not known for leaving money on the table. So what I think probably would be is that they keep trotting out Deadpool until it's not raking in the cash. I don't particularly see him being embroiled in a phase. I can see the character like popping up when they have these huge kind of like universe shattering type events, but just the sheer fact that then let me get serious right now.
Oh,
The sheer fact that Marvel has clearly taken this next phase up into the stars means that we're talking about an entirely different category of hero when we're talking about the coming together, as it were.
I
So
love it.
I think that the focus is going to be kind of away from the neighborhood type type heroes that we've gotten. Now that being said, where I think we're going to probably get a return to that will be through their inevitable reintroduction of the mutants, which now you're talking about kind of an interesting question when it comes to Deadpool. Because if you're talking about mutants, how do you not, even if you just are referencing him,
Yeah.
you know, like you cannot leave him out of the equation at that point. So I think that'll be interesting, but I don't think it's kind of like in the near future.
So with our beloved Stan Lee, may he rest in power, Excelsior and all that nine, with him gone,
Yeah.
and obviously they'll find a way to pay tribute to him in every movie.
Mhm.
Do you think Deadpool should be the new cameo? A character that almost lives outside of the reality of everything.
If that happened, I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it. I don't know necessarily. I mean, it's if you're going to make it be a non Stan Lee cameo, it does run the risk of getting like very gimmicky. And
100%.
Stan Lee was every comic book reader's grandpa. So not like Stan Lee could get up every Thanksgiving and tell the same joke every year
And we
as
would
if
chuckle
yeah,
our asses
as
off.
if he never told it to us before, and I think we would legitimately laugh the first time, but the second through 50th time we'd be like, I can't believe this mother sucker is telling the same joke again, unbelievable, and we'd have a real good laugh. So uh I think the Stan Lee of it all is what saved it from getting kind of real gimmicky and not working. I would have a little fear that anybody might be, you know, they might toe that line into like an eye roll. I don't know.
Yeah. So
What about you?
I'm as much as I love Wade Wilson, love Deadpool, love Ryan Reynolds. He is that character that I personally hope no one replaces the Stanley cameo.
Hmm.
I'd be just as happy if they did what Netflix did and he would be like the sheriff on a poster. There's like plenty you can do.
Sure,
Visual
yeah.
gags. He could be like you remember the ad where the it was for sunscreen, I think, and the dog's pulling down the baby's diaper, and it's like you could have cutesy
The
crap like
copper
that
tone, yeah.
as long as his family thought the image was appropriate. Um, you
Yeah,
could
as
throw
long
it
as
on.
they don't make a mockery of him. But yeah,
Yeah, it
I
should
could
never be a
easily see
joke.
him
It's
going
them
into
loving him.
Easter egg
Yeah,
territory.
I
You know,
think
like
that's yeah. I personally want Wade to get to be Wade, and like if you need to bring him in for an Avengers type film, I think less is going to prove to be more. I think
sure.
it'll always be something we're excited about. Now, if he became the official bumper for movies, I wouldn't mind that. If like every film now got 3 tags, and what we were waiting for wasn't like some imaginative lead in for the next wave, but instead it was like a Wade Wilson gag.
Hmm.
That could be fun if it was not the only one.
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
I
I could see
think
that getting beaten to death really quickly,
so,
and
and also maybe it's just one or two I need, like him doing the same ad Captain America did about like patience not being worth it, but trying to curse and it's like getting bleeped. You can have fun with it once or twice. I think Wade is best served as a character. I don't think Ant-Man or Spider-Man belongs in every single Marvel movie either. But I do think he deserves the same chance to be as popular as he has been
Well,
in
yeah,
this new
with
world.
the inevitable wave of mutants that we're kind of looking down the barrel of, he can't be excluded. He can't be.
Yeah. And
You know,
also it's like,
I heard people talking about, reading about, what have you. Kind of Chris Evans now has an expected return into that universe, which that's a totally different topic. But the like the not even the how, because obviously we're talking about comic book properties,
yeah.
which anyone can come back from the dead at any given moment. You could personally have killed the character in a comic book and not be surprised the next page when they're back to life, i.e. Robin looking at you, voted dead. Great. But they weren't really talking about like why or how he would come back, but it was why. And somebody floated out, maybe he's the only one they could think of that can do anything about Wolverine. And if anybody is, swinging from the perpetual satchel of Marvel Comics, we know that it's Wolverine. So I can definitely see, and I'll put this in wrestling nerddom terms. No, I won't. No, I won't. Oh, yeah. That is time, ladies and gentlemen. Time. Go ahead and throw us your thoughts about the vainglorious return of the dead one, indeed, Pineapple Face, who we love. Again, we do love him because all we really know how to do is, kind of laugh our baguettes off at him and throw money his way. So obviously, we're not tired of his shtick yet.
Exactly right. But we do want to know what you think. You can let us know on any of our social media, which is all at US Comics HQ. With that being said, Johnny boy, don't we have somebody we'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah,
Why don't you lead the path?
we really, really do. And look, as entertaining as this show clearly is, you're only getting us once a week, whereas you can get daily entertainment right here on Facebook Gaming Hour, one of our illustrious sponsors. It is Sergeant Finesse. 2 streams a day, outstanding gaming content. He does supporter streams. He does giveaways, contests. Don't be a sucker. Check him out today. Throw him a like, a follow. Consider becoming a sponsor, a supporter rather. It's like the price of a cup of coffee. Check him out today. Look, if you need to pick me up, follow the White Rabbit over to sneakenergy.com. Do yourself a favor, use code SGT at checkout. So good. If you're looking for some fresh new gear, go to geeksunleashed.com. Use code SARGE at checkout there. Because look, when the Sarge is on deck, you salute. GG, son.
That's right. So now you have those hours of the day covered. Sometimes it's hard to watch the Sarge while you're working, though. It's like you're laughing too hard, you're too excited. So what you also need is you need some music to play in the backgrounds. And you get to hear our amazing theme song. At the end of every episode, you get to jam out to a badass tune. But what will I do with the rest of my time? And that's where I turn to one of my favorite bands, and that's Bad Mary. You can find them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Bad Mary Band. You can go to their website right now, throw them some love, badmary.com. You can just literally skip the getting merch or CDs step, and you can just throw them money on Patreon.
Sure, yeah.
Patreon.com/Bad Mary. The best part is, let's say you don't want to do any of those, you definitely have a music streaming app, and Bad Mary is available on all of them. Right now, I'm on a personal quest to get Chris Statlander from AEW to use some of their music for her theme, because she's an alien and a wrestler, and Bad Mary is the shizzits. It's the best. They're the greatest. I love them. And they also help sponsor this program. So thank you, Bad Mary. You are, just as John says, a too sweet.
It's true. It's damn true.
Now, with all that said, John,
yes,
we heard about sponsors.
We did.
We heard my topic. We talked Zilla versus Kong.
It's true.
Are you ready for me to start your clock?
You know what? Maybe we may as well just go ahead and start that clock, son.
Done.
And it started. So, As we like to do, we try to bring the new. We try to bring the facts as we know them, but also as well as sometimes you got to report the, hey, you know what I heard? God bless you, Charlie.
Thank you.
And I am at that point. I was just surfing the interwebs, and I came across some news that, frankly, as my responsibility as hand of the king, felt the need to bring to you, my people. And I am telling you, folks, my good folks, and I am swearing to you by the new gods and the old, by the Lord of light, and everyone who will listen, that this guy's favorite Jorge R.R. Martin's creation is coming to life. Now, Charlie, I
Again?
don't know if this is news to you. I don't know if this is news to you, but your commentary would infer that it is. So Game of Thrones came and went. Huge song that Charlie likes to sing all the time. Huge success. Granted, some people were not in love with the finale, but we have our own opinions on that. We'll leave that alone. I think we may have covered it already. But almost immediately following the finale, after the bitching kind of dropped down, we started really hearing about, oh, well, the spin-offs are coming. We're going to get HBO's going to do this. HBO's going to do that. HBO's bringing in this particular actor. They're going to, like, we've gotten prequel series news. We've gotten news. Maybe it's going to be Robert's Rebellion that we're going to see. Maybe we're going to get like a Fire and Blood, the Targaryens whole story. Maybe we're going to get this. Maybe we're going to get that. We got spin-offs that were pitched to us that even made it as far as pilots. And then HBO's like, nah, we're good on that. So clearly they were biding their time, right? They were biding their time. Like they wanted to just wait and then maybe go ahead and poison Joffrey so that he choked like a little bitch.
Oh, the satisfaction.
Oh, God.
You can have a lackluster last season. Oof. That moment where that little bitch got what he had coming. Oh, delicious.
You know what? Just as good for me was seeing the Mountain get his comeuppance.
Also true.
I'm like, take it down.
So much satisfaction.
There really is, but people are just very intent on complaining. But that all being said, we are getting, folks, if you know me, you know that I don't talk lightly. You know what, Charlie? I do got to say this. Before I delve into the actual topic proper, Han shot first. So, yeah, cheers for that.
Respect. Han shot first. Han
did shoot first. Well, I'm drunk already. Okay, so we are for a fact getting my legitimate favorite George R.R. Martin creation within the world of Game of Thrones as a series. Now, when I say this is a whole separate thing that Charlie and I have kind of talked about pretty often here. When we talk about enjoying something, or I loved it, or even as far as, oh, this is one of my favorite things, please understand, we're not saying this is the best thing ever. I'm not saying that this particular collection of stories is George R.R. Martin's best creation. I'm saying that this is the one that I love the best, and there's a reason for it. The reason why I love this particular thing the best is that it's, as Charlie likes to say, it is undeniable. Ooh. It's just pure satisfaction, in this case, between the pages and soon to be on the screen. There's nothing to complain about. All right. So anybody who loves complaining, I'm telling you now, don't watch this upcoming series, because what we are getting are the tales of Dunk and Egg. Yes, that's right, Sir Duncan the Tall and Aegon Targaryen the Fifth, if you nasty, are coming to the small screen, courtesy of HBO and those beautiful, beautiful creators and dragon makers that they got. So Charlie's making it look like he doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So I'm gonna assume that some of you don't either. Now it's interesting because I
I
was
can't read.
I was just recently at a small birthday shindig. Have a couple of drinks when we were watching the playoffs with a friend of the show and friend in real life, Sean Burbage. And Sean actually brought it up to me. He's like, "Hey, somebody told me like the character in Game of Thrones that I would be would most appropriately be me would be Duncan the Tall. Who the fuck is that?" And boy, was he sorry that he asked me that question
I
because
just imagine you were like, oh, it was my nerd glasses, and
so I was like, I had notes for him. Like I didn't know that he was going to bring it up.
you
I
sat
laid
in
out
front of the
everything.
television.
Yeah,
You busted out a scroll.
I look like Charlie, like Charlie Day with the maps behind him and the red
Just
strings and stuff
smoking
like that. Yeah,
nervously.
yeah, exactly. So the Tales of Dunk and Egg, as they're lovingly known now, those stories, and it's a collection of stories. That's what this particular book is, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. This is a collection of several short stories that George Martin wrote.
When he was ducking writing the end of the book.
They were over the years. They were published in magazines, fantasy magazines. That's kind of their whole gimmick, and this takes place 100 years before the events that we read and saw in the Game of Thrones, right? The Clash of Kings and the whole nine yards.
So they got that dire wolf and dragon money.
Well,
that's what you're telling me.
So what it is, the Targaryens are still firmly seated in power, right? There's no like debate. They have dragons. They make the rules. That's the golden rule. So living that Targaryen life is not always what it's cracked up to be, because first and first, mostly you got to marry like the person who you grew up with and slept next to since you were an infant. It is what it is. But also like you take one look at a Targaryen and you're like, that's a Targaryen. It was like spotting one of the Jackson 5s. Like, that's a Jackson. Look at the moves. Listen to the voice. Look at the fro. You knew a Jackson when you saw Jackson. This is how that was. So that wasn't for everybody. Now, Sir Duncan the Tall, who is kind of like the muscles of the partnership, he's floating around. He's a hedge knight. So he is not attached to one particular monarch or even one area. He floats around. He participates in tournaments. He makes his loot, but he's also not what you would consider to be a deep thinker. He's like, Hulk smash. He does what he's got to do, and he's very good at it.
Poor Sean.
Yeah, he's super tall. He's super strong, and he knows how to smack a head in two. So again, no spoilers, because this would be like opening credits type shit. Little Aegon Targaryen, he slips away, and in order to not be clearly immediately identified by his almost white blonde hair and purple eyes, he shaves his head bald. And that's why he's known as Egg, because his fucking head looks like an egg.
Clever.
And he wears a big goofy hat, like big straw hat that peasants wear to cover up his eyes. And in essence, I won't go into how or why, but these two hook up, and it literally becomes a high fantasy, Tolkien-esque lone wolf and cub story.
That's awesome.
Which I love. I love it to death. It's
this
just
sounds like Jay and Silent Bob go to King's Landing.
even more so, Charlie. And this is the one I was going to throw at you. You know that you love these kind of like perpetual, ongoing adventures of stories, lone wolf and cub stories. What's the biggest one we cannot stop talking about? It's certainly here and also everywhere else. Is The Mandalorian.
Oh my God, 1,000%.
The Mandalorian is a lone wolf and cub-esque story. That's the beautiful thing about it. So like when we talking about The Mandalorian, I mean, we have episodes that we can point to that are clearly inspired by one thing or another. And it's a wonderful thing because you're like, I see where you're going with this, and then they give it to you. They frame it that way that's familiar to you. It's like, I already like this. This is great. I like all of these ingredients, and then like they put a little razzle dazzle on in the kitchen, and they're like, oh, taste it now. You're like, now I may even love it a little bit more. So that's exactly what I'm looking forward to now. So like something like the village episode when we went to hide Grogu in the village, and they were like, oh, we keep them here, but there's like the bad guys, and I have an old ATST walker and help us out. That's Seven Samurai,
100%.
right? Like so we can say clearly here's an inspired by or a take on or what have you, but the entire series is an ongoing adventures of Lone Wolf and Cub, and that is exactly what you're getting here, which is just mwah, mwah, mwah,
you know. And again, you and I love 99.99 repeating of the same stuff. It's just sometimes like the time commitment goes to different places. Like you have some books that you've loved for ages, Game of Thrones being one of them,
Bible.
that just aren't necessarily in a world I go running to.
I love
fantasy isn't my number one. It's not to say I don't have those stories that I appreciate, but a lot of times it has to come through a 4-color funny book. I have to be like, all right, fine, Doctor Strange, fine. But Game of Thrones was one of those amazing things that you were like, Charles, this shit is like, you didn't call me Charlie, you didn't call me Fat Boy, you didn't call me Chucky. You literally were like, Charles G. Rivera, listen here and listen well. Game of Thrones is.
I had my attorney draft you.
Exactly.
To whom it may concern.
It's just
you
it was one
must
of those.
Watch this.
You knew that the first episode was a must watch. And after you saw the quality of that first episode, you followed it up with like, just fucking get ready and feel free to ask questions because I got answers. And holy shit, I only made that mistake once or twice because I only have 24 hours in a day. Can't be soaking up 22 with like page for page recreations, but somehow longer. You finished talking once. It was 2 hours about a goddamn sword. I was like, well, I just want to know what the gay guy's name was. Like what's happening. But what's cool about those properties, and specifically this property, that whole like, oh, the last season was bad, so it lost some of its
nonsense
glimmer, I guess. It lost some of its obvious value. Once again, I return you to Mandalorian and the Star Wars Disney trilogy. People were, and still are, doodling all over those films. Those same people were like, oh God, a Mandalorian lunchbox. Hell yeah. All it takes,
and rightfully so,
all it takes is someone, like I always say, if the people behind this product love it and are passionate about it, and if HBO is letting it through. You want to talk about a company that's earned a lot of my respect and attention lately. It's been once again HBO, because they're known for putting forward high-end quality. Sometimes it's not what I'm looking for, but in their genres, it's like among the best of it. So the fact that they had other spin-offs get a pilot, they spent all this money to then go, no, it's not really what we're looking for, has to be educated by the fact that not everyone loved that last season.
Well, so, we talked about this and not to kind of yank the reins away from you, but I don't want to get it too far off track. And we talked about it pretty in depth here. Was the fact that a lot of the rancor came from it didn't end the way I thought it was going to end, right? And that's in my mind, that's actually a real testament, because people were so invested in the story that they couldn't help like doing the homework, so to speak. But I don't want to get Dunk and Egg kind of embroiled in that, because clearly people are going to show up. So this is something that we know. This isn't something even like you talked about playing with house money to a certain degree. And if you put something out that people didn't, people love you, people love you, people love you, then you put out something that not everybody loves, you didn't lose them forever. It's just that you didn't necessarily maintain that upward trajectory of like the 80s stocks portfolio. It's just that some people didn't love it, some people hated it, some people like, yeah, that was just fine. Ultimately, I think where it really suffered is that it was just rushed. So there was a lot of stuff put out there that people felt like, oh, this is really important. I need to factor in all these things and remember these details. And I agree with them there. The the real the real house money though belongs to George Martin, because if indeed when he handed those notes over, because the show surpassed the books, and he handed the notes over like, well, this is how it ends, and then the screenwriters, they did their thing, then he can sit back now and see kind of like how it was
Yeah.
perceived. He's like, yeah, we're not going to make it end that way, fuck it. And then he does something different, which there's plenty of room to do, because the books are not a one for one. In as much as the first season and the first book of Game of Thrones, within the Song of Fire and Ice series, was like a one for one. They didn't really miss any beats. They didn't really miss any characters that I can think of the off the top of my head. But as the show progressed, the show kind of got smaller by comparative to the book saga. The book story is very big. Like, it really scatters characters to the far
It
edges
was
of the playing
strange
board.
too, because they started going like real, I don't want to call it a deep cut because in the book they managed it just fine, but they started going like real off of the main threads, and you're like, there's these like kids in the forest and they're fuck them, forget about them.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like those characters, they absolutely do appear in the books. And as a matter of fact, like one of the spin-off ideas that was floated out there was like, okay, we're going to hear about the first men, because they were constantly referenced
Yeah.
in the block of time that we got. But again, that's not my topic. My topic is simply Dunk and Egg, the
Fuck yeah.
ongoing adventures of Sir Duncan the Tall and Aegon Targaryen, the V. And I just can't wait. And the fact is, the fact that they happen to exist within this world of Game of Thrones that we're familiar with so well, because of the series. So they go to places that we know of. They end up at castles that we only know as being molten rock, at some place, and now all of a sudden they're beautiful. It's like that scene in Titanic, which tough guys don't watch, but I've seen several times. Like when they raise the Titanic, when like they rewind the film, and you see it becomes like it was this rusted mess on the bottom, and then you see like in its glory and beautiful. That's the feeling that you get. It's like they took like the grime off of it. It was like watching one of those YouTube videos where like it's a restoration of a
Yes.
1978 X-wing fighter, and like it was all yellow and gross, and the stickers were peeling, and then they drop in some like acid, and they repaint it, and they put new stickers on, and you're like, boing. It was one of those. So it drops you like almost. Here's a good reference. It's like like Knights of the Old Republic.
Yes.
So in that Star Wars world that we know of, and we know had a very deep history that you've only ever heard of, now you have a window into that world, because you're basically being dropped into like the golden age, at least of the Targaryen era, before things really got crazy stupid. And it's just great. Also, as a trope, the lone wolf and cub trope is one of those that I'm just a sucker for. I'm a sucker for.
1,000%.
Again, Mandalorian does it. Fucking Batman and Robin are maybe the most popular lone wolf and cub type.
It
But
just
they're
always
far from the only
works.
ones.
It always
It
works.
always plays.
There's something about it. It's very easy for us to place ourselves in one of the two sets of shoes. It's something that, I don't know, it's a universal heartstring tugger. It always feels good. The conclusion always feels great and sad, and there's going to be that Mandalorian moment where they finally are kind of separated because it's best for one, and the other one still like,
Go
you'll
out of
always
here.
be my
I
best
never
friend.
loved you. Get out of here. But they were really
it's
secretly protecting them.
exactly, it's just a beautiful, it's a beautiful thing. And again, we've seen so recently how well it works, and we know
works, man.
Game of Thrones has legs for days. Son of a bee! Look at you, the
quick.
hands of the king. That's, I mean, that looks
Hand of
awesome.
the king.
Hail to the king, baby.
I was like, hand job to what now?
Only
Just
if you
really
pay extra.
quickly, and I thought that I was lobbing you an easy overhead smash at the net. I thought that you were immediately going to go to Hawk and Chick from Bob's Burgers, because that is a 1-for-1. Like, this is what we're talking about, folks. Reference to Lone Wolf and Cub. But yeah, I mean, you see it all over the place. Even like you can take it outside. Clearly, fantasy and like samurai movies, they're an easy. They're very interchangeable, right? Like even Westworld kind of made that very clear. Like you can, that's like Lego and Mego blocks. Like they work together. Like you can just easily swap them and use them interchangeably. But even something like Road to Perdition, which on first viewing is like, oh well, it's a period piece, it's a gangster flick. You know, the second that you can get over Tom Hanks as potentially not the good guy, then all of a sudden other things start flowing in. You're like, oh shit, this is also a Lone Wolf and Cub type story. No wonder my pants are off and I'm loving it so much. I just love it, man. I love it. I cannot wait. Again, if you haven't familiarized yourself, when Game of Thrones was coming out, it was a rush for a lot of people. I mean, obviously the entire series still to this day isn't completed, but at that point, I think maybe 4 of the books were already completed, and you can certainly come over here and borrow them from me. I'm more than welcome.
You got your loaner copies ready?
Yeah, sure, of course. But this is just a collection of short stories. So also exciting is the fact that they're going to expand upon this, right? They're going to build more. There's going to be more adventures of Dunk and Egg that even I, the all-knowing and all-wise, are not familiar with. So I just can't wait. But this is the short stories as written, collected. Again, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms.
I am going to rock that audiobook because now I got time before the series pops off.
Do it too.
I can do that while doing other stuff. Sure. Reading stops me in my tracks. For my brother, the ever getting just better looking. How dare he just get stronger, faster, hell, even wiser. You can catch him at your local eatery, removing his pants on request. He is the CEO. He is my big brother. He is a co-founder, but so am I. And you can find all of our work on social media, on all the social medias at US Comics HQ. You can watch the video version and see my brother take that Han shot, and potentially it may not go well, but it'll probably go great. You can see me stutter and almost trip over my chair. It's awesome. All of it at US Comics HQ, specifically the videos on YouTube and on Facebook.com/US Comics HQ. You have some homework. Your job is to let us know what you're feeling about Deadpool Will Change the Disney Universe. Your job is to let us know how eager and how excited you are for HBO to tackle another chapter in the beautiful, beautiful Game of Thrones universe. Are you trepidatious because the last one didn't end the way you wanted it to? Or are you ready to freaking go? And you're also supposed to look on our Instagram, find a character. Just tell us if you like them, what you think about them. If you have questions about them, we'll answer this, and potentially we'll throw something your way. For my brother, I am the other brother. John, how do we end this show?
There's only one way, Charlie, but there's multiple steps. First, you turn the power on. Then you turn the volume up. Then you tune Bad Mary in, and you open the window wide and scream out into the night sky, "Save me, space girl. We out."